The Sahara is only in a dry period and is expected to be green again in 15,000 years. The oldest living system ever recorded is the cyanobacterias, a type of bacteria that originated 2.8 billion years ago. There was a billionaire named Paul Getty who refused to pay a $17 million ransom for his kidnapped grandson. When the teenager's severed ear arrived, he agreed to pay $3 million but only actually paid 2.2 because that was the maximum he would be able to write off as tax. The average Game of Thrones episode costs to $3 million to produce. That's 2 to 3 times what a typical network or cable show costs per episode. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space that lasted 72 seconds and was dubbed the WOW signal. To this day, we still don't know where it came from. The highest temperature ever recorded on Earth was El Azizia on September 13, 1922, at 136 degrees Fahrenheit, 58 degrees Celsius. There is a secret McDonald's menu item that you can order, which is a McChicken in the middle of a double cheeseburger. There are tiny 8-legged creatures that are closely related to spiders living in the pores of your facial skin called Demodex. Turophobia is a fear of cheese. The small pocket in your large pocket of your jeans was originally meant for your pocket watch. In Iceland, it's forbidden to give your child a name that hasn't been approved by the Icelandic Naming Committee. 1,000 selfies are posted to Instagram every 10 seconds. This is 93 million selfies a day. It would take over 50 million balloons to lift the average house off the ground, like in the movie Up. Voldemort in French translates to flight of death. The French language Scrabble world champion doesn't actually speak French. Nigel Richards memorized the whole French Scrabble dictionary, which contains 386,000 words, in 9 weeks. The largest indoor water park in the world is the Seogai Ocean Dome in Japan, at 900 feet 300 meters long and 328 feet 100 meters wide. Buses can replace 40 cars if people made the switch. 140 for successful prisoners escaped Auschwitz. The state of Illinois has banned exfoliating face washes because the microbeads in them are so small that they actually slip through the water treatment facilities and end up back in the water supply. The Pizza Louis 13 is the most expensive pizza in the world, costing $12,000. Created by chef Renato Viola, he prepares the entire dish at your house. The toppings include 3 types of caviar, Mediterranean lobster and red prawns. The size of the pizza is only 8 inches 20 cm in diameter. France was the first country that banned supermarkets from throwing out or destroying food that wasn't sold. Bangkok University in Thailand makes their students wear anti-cheating helmets during exams. North Korea is the biggest counterfeiter of US currency. The country of Niue, an island north of New Zealand, put various Pokemon on its $1 coins in 2001. They included Pikachu, Squirtle, Meowth, Bulbasaur, and Charmander. An ancient Persian poet recorded the fable of a king that challenged wise men to make him a ring that made him happy when he was sad, and sad when he was happy. They succeeded by giving him a ring etched with the phrase, "This too shall pass." In Cuba, it's legally mandated that government vehicles must pick up any hitchhikers that they see. In 2000, the KKK adopted a stretch of highway near St. Louis, so the Missouri government responded by renaming the road Rosa Parks Highway. Elephants remember and mourn their loved ones like us, sometimes years after their death. In the Middle Ages, doctors believed that farting into jars and sniffing them would prevent death, or more specifically the Black Death Plague, which they called therapeutic stink. The graffiti artist David Cho, who painted Facebook's first office in 2005, was paid in shares and is now worth over $200 million. A project's bus factor denotes the number of people in a company who need to be run over by a bus to send the company into such disarray that it would not be able to proceed. Compared to average shoppers, chefs are more likely to buy generic store brands for sugar, baking soda, and other kitchen staples. Lofoten, an island in Norway that lies at 68 north, well within the Arctic Circle, that has an extreme temperature anomaly. Summers are warm and winter temperatures rarely pass below the freezing point. The word honeymoon originated from the tradition of giving newlyweds a month's supply of meat on their wedding night. Grave of the Fireflies is based on the author's own experiences as a child and was written as a personal apology for not being able to save his younger sister Keiko. Cleopatra was born out of a lot of inbreeding. Through 3 uncle-niece marriages and 3 sister-brother marriages, her family tree collapses to a single couple at 4, 5 or 6 generations back, counting through different lines. If you travel at 99% the speed of light away from the sun, the light from the sun would still pass by you at the speed of light relative to you. Georgia in the USA has a set of giant stone slabs, etched with rules for post-apocalyptic humanity in many different languages. It can be used to chart the sun and stars, and warns against petty laws and useless officials. No one actually knows who funded the construction of this monument. During a German and British airplane shot each other down in Norway, and the crew met and then helped each other survive. 2 of them then visited each other several years after the war was over as friends. The world's tallest man, Bao, used his incredibly long arms 106 to remove plastic from the stomachs of 2 dolphins, which ultimately saved their lives after trainers exhausted numerous other methods. A Swedish scientist, Svante Arrhenius, projected in 1897 that burning fossil fuels would lead to global warming and increase of surface temperature between 5 and 6 degrees centigrade. Upon his death, TV star Jack Benny's widow, Mary, received a red rose. After several days, with another rose delivered each day, Mary called to find out who was sending them. The florist told her that Benny made arrangements for a rose to be sent to her every day for the rest of her life. In the late 1600s, London was plagued by an attacker who would spank his victims with a rod and shout "Spanko" before running away. The NHL designed a puck with IR sensors in it to track it. That's how they made it glow in the 90s. The Soviets had made a prototype laser pistol for use by their astronauts. The pistol was designed to burn a hole through the spacesuits of enemy astronauts, killing them via suffocation and/or explosive decompression. Oktoberfest started off as a wedding reception for a prince in Bavaria in 1810, and the newlyweds enjoyed it so much that they suggested making it an annual event. When notorious murderer Karl Panzram was sentenced to death, he refused to appeal and threatened to kill any activists who attempted to intervene on his behalf. Some of the oldest cells in the human body are neurons. They last a lifetime. The Aplysia sea hare has a nervous system with only 20,000 neurons. When asleep, humans spend 23.1% of the time in rapid eye movement REM sleep. The first lobotomy in the USA was performed by Walter Freeman in 1936. Each year, about 10,000 babies born in the U.S. develop cerebral palsy. All invertebrate taste receptor cells are bipolar primary sensory neurons. In 2001, the use of GBHE gamma hydroxybutyrate resulted in 3,340 emergency room visits in the U.S. In 1863, Adolf von Baeyer synthesized barbituric acid, the first barbiturate. He named this chemical after his girlfriend Barbara,